Hello, one more time. So grateful to have you for our next episode. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about laws for us to understand that our world is driven by laws. Our existence has been driven by laws. Our humanity and society has been driven by laws. So it's so essential that we understand these principles, because if we don't, we're going to be under a lot of different pressures that trigger our mind and put us in a very difficult existence of life. So the reason why God is putting this in my heart, because when you get to the book of Romans chapter 7, we're going to use as a reference the book of Rome chapter 7. And I want everyone that can to read that passage completely. If they can read the whole chapter, it will give you the insight of what kind of laws we're going to be talking in here, because the suffering of our humanity is pure lack of knowledge. Please engage in what I just say. The suffering of our humanity, a lot had to do with lack of knowledge. Don't be able to process our functionality, how we operate in the natural and also in the spiritual. Please engage into this, because when you started looking the our existence in the universe is driven by a divine laws. Okay, pay attention very close to what we're going to be talking today, because it's necessary to understand this principle, because this will liberate a lot of people from a lot of pressure on their self, because that's the outcome of not understanding something. It puts you in a position that we bring it up on ourselves to the point that we end up living in a lot of, guilt, shame, and fears. That's how majority of humanity is driven in this world. You ask them, they say, "No, yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay." No. When you're alone, all this guilt, fears, all these things are, put you in the situation that you become a prisoner your own self without even realizing. This is why God is, in His love and merciful love, He's trying to help people understand that this what is caused not understanding something, that we become prisoners in our own selves without even realizing. This is why this specific topic has been brought up to you guys for embrace, to the point that it will benefit everyone that put these things into practice and understand how would I become released from all these burdens that are consuming my life. So, as you just heard, our existence in our universe is driven by laws, divine laws, all right? So now let's get to our society. Our society and world is driven by human laws. Okay. Laws are necessary, because without them, it would be a chaos in every possible way that we can imagine. It helps us to understand that that's what really move the world, this society, and everything else. Okay. But when we miss the point, the Apostle Paul is saying to the Romans, the book of Romans, and he's talking about these two type of laws. Okay, now we heard that humanity and universe is driven by divine laws. Society and world is driven by humans' laws. Okay, but it's the third level. Okay, it's the third level that we need to understand that our society, our individual self, we are driven not by one law, but by two laws within self that we never put our minds to understand these laws. Okay? Like I say, humanity and the universe is driven by God's laws, right? Please follow very close because I don't want misunderstanding into this very essential points that every human needs to engage in it to get off of that pit that have you live in this life full of anxiety, depression, stress. Because if we don't comprehend who we are, what is within us, okay, we're gonna be distorted in every level, and we won't be able to discern and understand what's going on. Okay. When you look at the book of Romans, what Paul is trying to emphasize is about the laws, the two laws within ourselves. God's law, and the law of sin, the law of the flesh. Okay? So he began to explain us through the whole chapter that he's wrestling with these two laws within himself. The same exact way every single human being in this planet is wrestling with those two laws. Because by nature we know what's right and what's wrong. But we have the option to choose for one of them. And one drives us to one law and the other one drives us to the other law. And that's what's going on with our humanity. We decided to obey the law of the flesh, of sin, but disregarding that going to put us in the pit, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, in every possible way. And then we get to the point that we started feeling all these things: shame, guilt, fear, to the point that we develop a prison, internal prison to self. Please try to follow in this, because this is very important. Because God has put it in my heart, because God sees the deterioration of every humanity in every single way. And God wants to help you to get out of that wrong state of mind, wrong state of thinking, abiding all by the negative law of flesh and sin that will put anybody in the pit. Yeah, you might feel adrenaline, a dopamine, what is called a dopamine. This is the reason why I'm fascinated with neuroscience, because it helped me understand how my mind works, how my inner world works. Because that is the problem that most of us, we don't understand. That's why Jesus said it. My people suffer for lack of knowledge. When you don't understand something, you are totally ignorant in that specific field. And that will put you in anxiety, stress, depression because you don't understand and you want to understand. Like I say, in the moment when you please in the flesh, the sinfulness within, the law of sin within us, yeah, we might feel, like I said, rush of adrenaline, rush of a dopamine, that we feel good at the moment, as everybody does it, you know. When you in the moment committing the sinfulness act to please your flesh, the desires of your flesh, then you feel great. But sad when the next day comes and you in that condition, this auto-destroying self, not only physically, but spiritually. And that's when all these convictions comes on place. Do you follow me what I'm saying? Please do. Because if you don't, you will continue in the same pattern of life, trying to fill that void within self, trying to find a way to justify the obedience of that law that have put you in the position that you are in the moment. Please engage into this. Because if we don't, we're going to be suffering in every possible way. That's why the contemplation of our humanity, that's why the rate of suicidal is growing like crazy. Because people don't find way out. They think they don't, but it is a way. Today, God have sent me to tell you, it is a way out of the pit that you are at the moment. Because this is the biggest thing that God have put in my heart to uncover. That our society, our humanity, every individual had that tendency. We condemn ourselves. When you feel guilt, shame, fear, you condemning yourself. That's why you feel all those emotions in you, within yourself. Because you automatically come in the mode of condemnation and you condemning yourself. And then we go around all our life trying to forgive others. It just please understand this. How could you forgive somebody when you haven't learned how to forgive yourself for all the mistakes that you've been committed? This is the prison that every human being fall into it. Because like I say, it's like it is a matrix that put people in that state of mind and thinking. Okay? That's why I say be careful to follow any proposition that comes to your place. Because that's what propositions are for. To put you in that state of mind later on. Yeah, maybe the propositions look appealing. They look great. They look at, like a fun, that you're going to have a lot of fun. That you're going to feel a lot of adrenaline. That you're going to feel a lot of dopamine. When you understand how you function, please, everybody needs to take their time instead of be watching nonsense stuff. Educate yourself and know yourself. 99% of human, we don't know ourselves. This is the reason the first question that came into this podcast was, do you know who you are? Guarantee you don't. I assure you that you don't know who you are. I'm not talking in the physical form, in the earthly terms. I'm talking beyond those terms. Do you know who you are? Because that's the lack of people, everyone. So we want to embrace every proposition to find identity. Please get this. We think if we copy someone else doing, we will be identified ourselves. We will find that identity that I'm asking you in that question. Do you know who you are? So instead go to the right source to find answers to that question. We prefer to obtain any proposition that the matrix or the world are offering to us. And what that brings to your mind and to your soul is called confusion, distortion, stress, anxiety, depression. And that's why people are living in the pit, because they fall in the trap. I want to say something in this specific episode to everyone that is listening. The reason why we want to bring the outer things to the inner things is because we don't know the massive perfection that you've been created. And that's the problem. That's one of the biggest problems that everybody is missing. We want to add to completeness. Please listen to this. You don't have nothing to add to yourself. You already been created complete. I was just talking to my boy the other day. Last night I was talking to my son. Have a young teenager, and I was talking to him, and I said, son, and I brought up a specific passage of a scripture, of this manual of instructions that help us to get out of all this confusion. And we were talking about different principles. And the thing is this, that every person in the world is trying to add to completeness. Okay. You were created in God's image and in God's likeness. Just by you trying to digest those principles, you will find completeness in you. Now, but you need to understand something. You have a negative, the opposite law, trying to distort it perfection that you are. That's the job of the enemy. Destroying God's perfection. I'm going to put it to you this way, like I said, same way I did it to my son. I said, let's say we find a piece of art that is perfect piece of art. Okay? That Michelangelo drew, okay? And we see this perfect piece of art. Do you think that paint needs to add something to it to better that picture, or that picture has that piece of art is perfect? So by you adding to that piece of art, you will be distorting, you will be destroying, you will be disfigure that piece of art, the perfection of that piece of art, because you try add to it. It's the same thing with ourselves. The moment that you feel that you need to add to self to find completeness, you distorting the piece of art that you are, the masterpiece that you were created. Please understand this. This is very important. This is not a joke. This is a serious matter. That's what we do when we try add to perfection, because that's the job of the opposite first, to propose you, oh no, you need to do this to be happy. You need to obtain this to be happy. You need to bring this to your life to be happy. No, you don't. No, you don't. What anybody that are listening to this podcast needs to understand that we have missed completely self-control. I can bet to anybody that can come forward and says, I have self-control, that you don't have it. Because self-control requires renounce to self. Do you do that? If you do that, congratulations. You obtain self-control. Because self-control is deny. That's why Jesus said, you want to follow me? You need to begin by denying self and abide by my spirit. Do you get the two laws right there? Flesh, spirit. Which one you drive by? Which ones is running your life? Please be honest to yourself. Because that's the other part, the human, we become good at it. Justification is the other word. We become to justify every wrong move that we made. And what did that bring when you alone? What did that put in your mind and your heart when you alone? That nobody's watching you is what I just mentioned to you. Guilt, shame, fear. Because that adrenaline, that dopamine has disappeared. You no longer feel the rush. Then you get to reality, what I call reality of life. That's the problem with our society. So I encourage everybody to take a look at this manual. Please do. This manual will help you to tune, to get off of that fabrication that we do in our mind, to fabricate things that end up put us in a prison. But God has sent me to tell you that it is a way out. It is a way out. Like I said, every one of us needs to begin by forgive ourselves all the mistakes that we have made. Because please examine what I'm saying here. Deep in you, you're condemning yourself. You're blaming yourself. When you're blaming yourself, you're condemning yourself. So this is the wonderful when we become to understand what this manual tells us. The only way to be liberated from all this massive amount of guilt and shame and regrets and all these things and fears that consume our existence is by understanding that we disregarding that our Lord Jesus Christ came to pay that ransom. Now Jesus came to pay the ransom for all those transgressions that we have committed, and we will commit. Please understand this. Because this is the other part. This is the other part that this manual of instruction explains you very clear. Jesus not only paid the sin to this point that you are right now. Jesus already paid the price for the mistakes that you will continue doing. Remember, as long as you in this body, this law is going to be wrestled with the law of the Spirit. The flesh always going to be in contradiction with the Spirit, with what is in you. That's why I'm saying we being driven by two laws within ourselves. That when you uncover this amazing thing, you started bringing every thought captive to the Lord. You don't allow the flesh, the desires of your flesh to rule your life. Because that's what's happening in your life. You allowing this to rule you. Because that's what the enemy find out, your weakness. The opposite law, understand and know to the core your weakness. And this is that situation where you are at this moment. Because somebody with a lot of more knowledge than you are is taking advantage of that. And it's putting you in the position that you are at this moment. But the Lord has come to send me to tell you that by the blood of the Lamb, the Son of God, the blood of the Lamb, Jesus Christ, we have been redeemed of all this filthiness that we walking through this journey. Please get this, because it's the only thing that can cleanse any human in this earth. It's the only thing that can give you true freedom. Please understand this. This is very important. When we become to comprehend this principle, you start being a fool, because that's what we are. We are fools. We think we're smart. We think we know a lot because we can go to the internet and find information. Please don't confuse yourself. Don't confuse movement with progress. Progress is when you know something. When you live through it and you can have a definition. Please understand this. That's why theory is one thing and practical is a different thing. Even when it comes to this manual, if you only obtain the theory from the manual, you will continue in the same pit. Nothing is going to change in your life. Because in order for these instructions have a result in your life, it have to be applications. It have to come to the practical, not only the theory. It's very important. The theory is not going to liberate you. It's the practical. Until you become to applications, nothing is going to change in nobody's life. Please don't get distorted by your own thoughts. That's why I'm saying we need to spend time in quality stuff. Know how this peace of mind work. Know how your brain operates. Because the left part of your brain to the right part of your brain, one sabotage the other one, and you don't even realize. It's necessary that we know all these things. How my brain works, where my thoughts come from, who generate them, why I'm driven by these thoughts, why I don't examine my own thoughts in order to conduct my life in a better direction. It's very important. I hope that this message, like I said, read the book of Romans chapter 7. In this chapter, you will find the laws that I'm talking about. And why the wrestling that you have internally with yourself. Because it's a battle between the spirit with the flesh continually. It's a contradiction, a severe contradiction. And that's why I said to you, if you find self-control, you're going somewhere. Because if you tune into fight control, you have to deny to this self. You have to deny to the desires that is driven in every human being to abide the wrong law. Like I say, in the moment, that action will bring you adrenaline and satisfaction, a dopamine, and you will feel good. But that's why I'm saying, when you know how your system works, when that adrenaline, a dopamine wears out, why you think people that go into drugs become addicted? Because the dopamine that they feel for the first time, hear me out what I'm going to say, if you have any kind of addiction. The first time you consume any kind of drug, your body will produce something within your mind that's called a dopamine. Because the mind is, the human system is created to react to this, functions in ourselves. And that's going to give you that rush of dopamine when you do a substance that make you feel happy, content, that make you feel great. But this is the downfall when it comes to the dopamine that we miss and we don't understand. The next time that you using the substance, your body will start to trigger, okay, something is not right in here. This person, see, the dopamine alert you not to feel only good, is to protect ourselves. The dopamine says, okay, now I'm going to have to shut down the avenue of the dopamine, because if this person continue using that substance, that drug, is going to become addicted. So I'm going to reduce. Imagine the amazing way that you were built. It reduces in your brain to not produce that dopamine. It reduces the channel. The first, the second, the third time make you feel that dopamine, it started reducing into numbness and terminate it. It does it to prevent you that you need to stop doing what you're doing. Your own body talk to you and we disregard it. We don't listen. Your own body tells you stop using that substance that is going to hurt you. And what do people do? They double the doses of the substance, because the amount that they consume the first time is no longer doing effect with the rush of a dopamine that they want to feel. So what do? Double the doses. And boom, that's what develop addiction. Because by double the doses, you will feel another rush of a dopamine, because you double the amount. So your body, even your body is fighting with you, telling you, I'm not going to give you that rush because it's going to hurt you. Do you get what I'm saying? Even your body talk to us. Our bodies talk to us, protect us with that intensity and mechanism. God create me to protect, to preserve us, our life. But we don't understand because we don't know. We just don't know. We don't understand all these things. So it's very important. I would like to continue, but I will do it in another episode. I hope that these specific points help you to see life in a different way. Help you understand why these two laws within myself have put me in the pit that I am. But God has sent David to tell me that it is a hope. The only way that can cleanse me from all these burdens that are destroying me is through the blood of the Lamb of God, which is the Son, Jesus Christ. Please get this. When we accept that sacrificial in our behalf, we no longer feel guilt. We no longer feel shame. We no longer feel sorry. We no longer feel fear. We become liberated. That's what Jesus said, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. Because that is the truth. The Lamb of God that take away the sin of the world. Please get this. I'm going to leave you with this, and please read these instructions to preserve your life in the natural, but mostly in the spiritual. My Lord bless everyone, and please share this content to other people. Let somebody else get this opportunity. Share, like, hit the bell, do whatever for this podcast to go to a different level, to reach out more people. If you've been blessed by this information and it become helpful to you, give it to somebody else, man. Because that's how you will manifest God through you for others to know Him. My Lord bless everyone that's watching, and until next, Why Journey.